Hey YouTube, welcome back. We got a lot of discussion going on for the Fissure Smite Void Knight that I've been playing here on stream. We are level 98 and a half. We are currently like farming 500 corruption. It's very comfortable. And we spent a lot of time with Dreadful here in chat as well, comparing the Paladin version of this build along with the Void Knight version of this build. And as long as these thoughts are flowing through my mind right now, I thought that this would be a good time to talk about some of the similarities, differences, scaling, and my thoughts on like what tier build Fissure Smite is. So like S tier, F tier, things like that. And I think the most important thing that I can tell you, if you're interested in like these kinds of Fissure Smite builds. So Fissure Smite is the Smite, Fissure, and this is what we're scaling, like spell, void, damage over time, or in the case of the Paladin thing, converting to lightning and going spell, lightning, damage over time. So for this build, I would solidly call this an A tier build. And I think that's a really good observation. So the difference between the Paladin and the Void Knight versions of this build, I do think that the Paladin build is just better for this particular thing. Like if you're doing Time Rot or something else, if you're like trying to hybridize two builds, that's on you. But for this particular build, I think the Void Knight version is strictly worse, and I think the Paladin build is like just better. Defenses are going to be like a tiny bit different. Low level while you're gearing up, like day 1, day 2. The tankiness of the Void Knight really shined, and it seems very apparent like the Void Knight just had a lot more tankiness and durability and leech and all those good things going for him, rather than the Paladin. But the reason that I say like they're both solidly A, and like I think they're both completely appropriate builds. Especially like a season start. This has been a buttery smooth season start, even though I ended up choosing like the worst of the two options, in my opinion. My single target damage right now, if I go to the dummy, is about 1.2 mil. It's not single target damage. It's my single target dummy tick is about 1.2 mil tops. And like I could increase that if I had better gear, like geared slightly differently. The damage of Dread's build that he was doing with the Paladin Fissure Smite, like the Paladin version of this build, was about 3 million damage. He's in Merchant's Guild as well, so note that I'm COF, he's Merchant's Guild. Merchant's Guild is cheating because you get to buy things, so it's hard to compare. But you have a lot more going for you in terms of scaling, because you have like lightning damage, you have shock, you have all the lightning penetration things over here. Lightning penetration. You have this node's very, very important. Getting that more damage multiplier per critical strike multiplier. And then like you're using healing hands, and like you're not going out of the way to pick it up. Like just kind of get it for free. You're not going out of the way to pick up Sigils of Hope. You're just kind of getting it for free. And like Void Knights, I love the new Void Knight Mastery. I think it's so good. But the best parts of the Void Knight Mastery is like the echoes, and we're not using the echoes. And then there's a more melee damage per vitality, and we're not playing a melee build. It's like there's some high points of VK that we're kind of skipping out on, or like the crit stuff here, but we're not a crit build. You know what I mean? So, what's the takeaway? The takeaway is that if you're playing the Paladin build or the VK build for Fissure Smite, I don't think the differences in damage, even if you call it like double or triple the DPS for the Paladin, are an appreciable difference in the content available to your character. What do I mean by that? I could do 1,000 corruption. I'd be a little bit slower than the Paladin build because my damage is a little bit lower, but I'd be tankier as well. I'm very happy doing 500 corruption right now. I'm just like kind of blasting around, having fun. And if I doubled or tripled my damage, it still wouldn't unlock something like Uber Aberroth to me. And like, I don't think Fissure Smite is where you want to be for Uber Aberroth. So all the content in the game is currently accessible to me, and I'm happy with it, and I'm blasting, and I'm having fun, and all my shit's purple, and I think that's fine. Like, if we're trading off like damage for defense, I still think the Paladin version's better, but it's all the same content, and it's all still available to you. And I think that's a really important observation. And I'm going to start like comparing other builds like that as well, because like in Last Epoch, there's been talk of people saying like, Last Epoch's easy, Last Epoch's hard. And we've mentioned like there are always these builds in Last Epoch there's like 2 or 3 builds that end up being S tier during any particular season or patch. And that'll be like, you know, Gel Core's Blasting Knife, Detonating Arrow, melee thing. And like that build was like one of the strongest builds that last Epoch's ever seen. And it skewed the perspective of people looking at other builds. If you ignore like the top 1, 2, or 3 builds in last Epoch, the build diversity is absolutely enormous. And this build, Fissure Smite, especially like this, in my opinion, suboptimal version of it, not as a VK instead of Paladin, there's so many builds that you can play. And like, I was happy. I was never disappointed or sad or frustrated during the lifespan of this character. So like, I think this build's totally fine. I'm happy with it. Let's, after that huge long introduction, let me show you where we ended up on this character. And I'll show you a build planner, and I'll link a build planner to you as well, of what my ideal would be. So, we're on Omnipotence. Strictly speaking, Omnipotence is less damage than a good Temple Staff, but it does make your mana better, and it gives you like an LP, like a 2 LP would be better, but a 1 LP is not better than the Temple Staff that I had previously. But it also gives like +1 levels, and +1 levels lets you sneak in some other things here. So like my Smite is like +1 level. I wish I had +2 levels, so I can go like Atonement 1 more point right here. We feel really comfortable. But I don't quite have the 22 levels to grab this as well. But like maybe a Nihilus lets you flex that around. So my point is like my Grimoire that I'm using does not have plus levels to Smite, whereas the Sentinel Weaver Code of Erased Sentinel that I've been using previously did have +1 to Sentinel skills on it. So flexing things around like that, having +1 here does feel very good. We're on Atrophy. Remember, deterministic 1 LP slams are a life changer. It's so nice. While I'm gearing up this character, I'm always trying to stay above 90 vitality for my Devouring Orb stuff, but I missed on a lot of my 2 LPs. So like I have T7% life, puts me at 4200 HP, but like I'm using cast speed instead because the cast speed is important to make the build feel good and get like 3 fissures under an enemy at the same time. So I have like this 2 LP Blooded Exile. I went for the T7 movement speed. I tried to hit vitality, but I hit hybrid health instead. So these boots are still very good, but they happen not to have vitality, so it means I need to get vitality in a different place instead. My Brewmaster Buckle, I think cleanse is super important. There's just like so many things that I want to be cleansing. And this only has 8 vitality instead of the 14 that's available to it. So again, like I'm like kind of missing a little bit of vitality in all these places. So it means that I need to, you know, sneak in vitality like on these idols over here, for example. So my life total could be like 5. I think like if I'm actually have all the vitality I'm looking for, the build planner that I'll show you has like 5.8k, like nearly 6,000 life, which is a chunky bit of life. But for us, it's like a little bit of cast speed while we're leveling this character up. The Brewmaster Belt is awesome. Highly encourage you to pick up one of these, at least with 1 LP, hopefully 2 LP. The fact that the maximum health gains endurance threshold stacks is just like amazing. It's so good. The Brewmaster Belt along with the Grimoire is quite good because it makes your potions into something defensive. You click your potion, you gain life and endurance threshold, and you get less void, necrotic, and poison damage taken for 4 seconds. And it gives you overleech because it gives you a drain. So the combination of these 2 items is very good, especially for Void Knight because of the leech aspect of it. Titan Heart for the staff version. I do like the staff version. I think it's great. If you were going to iterate on this build, if you wanted to take this build and try something different, you could take off the Titan Heart, put on Champion Regalia instead, and you would put on the Time Rot set. You would still be playing like Fissure Smite, like a non-crit Fissure Smite. The fissures would be like a good chunk of your damage, but then like you'd continue leaning more into Time Rot to help augment your single target damage. I don't know how good that is, but it's an iteration of this build that you could explore if you wanted to. What's up next? Of course, you wouldn't be using Omnipotence for Time Rot because you want the Time Rot set, and the thing doesn't really help Time Rot because it's got spell void damage on it. What else is important to talk about here? Vitality comes first. Void % increased damage comes second. We talked about idols. These Smite idols here are fine to get started with. The kind of idol that you would be looking for would be one of these 2x2 idols like this, with void damage when its skill echoes and % increase of void damage over time. So you get like both, and it's about what 160% increased damage. And then like of course you'd weave these things as well for extra affixes on them. And the 160 is better than the 100% that these two get. So it's a little bit better if you're using one of these instead for your percent increased damage affixes. Let's talk about Sigils of Hope. We talked about what Anomaly was offering to us. And Anomaly feels really, really good. It gives us cast speed, which feels great. It technically gives us Void Shred as well, but we have Void Shred from Devouring Orbs, so we're not relying on that. But Anomaly gives us a ton of leech. For us, it was giving us about 12% leech. If you're opting into something like a Bleeding Heart, it gives you tremendous amount of leech. But I don't think Bleeding Heart's where you want to be. There's other things like the Pearls of the Swine, Amulet, Nihilus, or even Aurora's Time Glass are good, unique options to be using instead. And then, of course, if you're trying to do the Time Rod stuff, you have to use a rare or like exalted item, not a unique. So we dropped Anomaly, trying to sneak more damage in the build, and we're using Sigils of or Symbols of Hope instead. Tiny bit of Ignite over here. Ignore this, but technically it becomes Time Rot. But Symbols gives us a bunch of percent increased damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is this? 125% increased damage. And then 3 by 5 is what? 15 flat damage as well. So increased void damage per thing. Yeah. This by 5 as well. Went to 75% on top of that. So it's like 200% increased damage from using this. And then a defensive option as well. Also gives you the option of using something like Orion's Sunseal. Which is a neat one. It gives you, I guess I've got like a 2. I don't think I have a 3 LP. I've got at least a 2 LP for this. It gives you like a little, another defensive boost to go along with your Symbols of Hope. So that's another good option for you now that you're including this. Has anything else changed from the other videos I've been putting out? 30 flat, 2% increase. It's 29% more damage over Anomaly. Sure. Appreciate that. Because we're picking up Symbols of Hope, we are trimming a couple points in VK. So trimming some cast speed from the Renouncement node, trimming some nodes from Temporal Velocity, and I also took out all of the Void Ages stuff that I had before. I really like the Void Ages stuff, but maybe it just cost too many points, these 6. So I have these 6 points down here into World Eater to get back my Leech that I dropped from my Anomaly. And then we flex some points out of Abyssal Endurance as well. I think that's about the extent of the changes there. Let me pull up a build planner and show you a glimpse of this. So this character, you'll see like the health. Max health is like, 5.9k, 5.2 right here. And this is just like what your build might look like if you're sticking with Omnipotence. And then like actually hitting your 2 LPs in the way that I did not hit my 2 LPs. You want to be getting some cast speed to get your 3 fissures under them at a time. So you see you have tier 6 cast speed on one of these, tier 7 cast speed on the other one. Grimoire is very easy to get with 2 or even 3, sometimes even 4 LP. So Grimoire is a great inclusion for this build. I think that's about it. We had a long introduction at the beginning of this video, and I think that's the most important part. Saying like, yeah, this build might be worse, but I don't think you appreciably gain access to any new content by playing one of them or the other. And boy, VK is fun, dude. It's fun being purple. Yeah. I like tankiness. Tankiness lets me read Twitch chat more often. Big mood. So I'll be linking this build planner into the description of the video. You can always look down there. If you do iterate on this build, if you take the idea of like VK, Fissure Smite, or like the damage over time stuff, and like maybe you're incorporating more time rot, less time rot, maybe you're sticking with like strictly speaking spell damage over time, I would love to see what a new updated version of this is, especially if you continue playing this, past day 3 of the brand new season. So the next build that I play is going to be something that has a real shot at Uber Aberroth. This particular character, the one that I have live on screen here, damage is pretty low for Uber Aberroth at 1.2 mil currently. But Uber Aberroth, his basic attack deals like, 2,000, 2,500 damage or so. And then anything other than his basic attack, one taps me. So we'll see whether we can get defense for the fights or farm up some red rings, or maybe just play the game of don't get hits and try to just like have enough damage to push him over. We'll see. I'm unsure. This is a 15-minute video. I think 15 minutes is perfectly fine for this kind of thing. But hope that your season's going well too. I'll see you next time.